as well. So,
Okay.
I think we are live here. Hey everyone, very warm welcome. Good evening and good morning if you're in different time zone. Here we are. We have some very exciting conversation set up today, especially about HR, and we're going to go deeper into how the whole agentic transformation is being taken care on an execution level with veterans in the industry. I think the whole rise of AI isn't just a technological advancement, right? It's an opportunity to reimagine the HR from the grounds up across different functions. But the journey of the whole AI transformation for a lot of enterprises hasn't been without its own complexities. Now, integrating AI into the whole organization's heart has been kind of showcasing unique set of challenges. How do they look at ethical AI usage, or how do they maintain the human touch in increasingly automation-driven world? How do you upskill the workforce yet motivating them, not having concerns of data privacy and so on and so forth? So there are more and more challenges that I think we have been looking at. So as a part of this conversation today with two industry experts, we will go deeper into these topics, sharing insights and looking at best practices, recommendations from these two leaders. So firstly, thank you so much for joining us. Let me take this moment to thank Shakun Khanna ji, who's been an HR transformation leader, a coach, strategy advisor. He's been an entrepreneur, currently advising on the board for SHRM. Earlier, he was VP for Oracle, and prior to that, he was running his own setups. He's been a veteran in an HR space, advising, coaching, as well as managing these transformative aspects of HR across different organizations. Welcome, Shakunji. I also have Dr. Deepak Deshpande with us. He's the Chief Growth Officer and CHRO at Soft Polynomials. He's again been a veteran with more than 25 years of experience across various organizations, looking at transformation that the HR can bring in, handling various processes, various functions with a hands-on approach, and more. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I'm not sure if I have lost my speakers. Allow me a moment to figure this out. Uh, okay, I think I might have lost because of the glitch. Shakunji, I hope you're back on.
Yeah, I got pushed out.
Yeah. So I think possibly we just had a little bit of internet glitch. As
There
always,
is a big
this
storm in Noida where I am right now, so maybe
is
because
it.
of that, my apologies.
No worries, no worries. It's also I see those big clouds in Bangalore here in the sky, and I have no idea what's going to happen here. So if I get disconnected, please stay on the course, folks. So I just give a quick welcome, Dr. Shakunji and Dr. Deepak ji. Thank you so much for joining. It's great to have you veterans on this conversation. Um, Let me just ask a slightly open-ended question to let the ball rolling. Dr. Deepak, I think you've been a veteran with more than a couple of decades looking at various HR transformations. What are your perspectives on this whole AI wave? How do you see this?
Well, thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Ziwal, and of course, Shakun. Great to be here with you today. Uh, how am I feeling? I think absolutely, it's like going back to school, you know. And ever since, of course, since COVID has happened to us, since then we embarked on AI in a bigger way, right? So we are experimenting. We have uh, used quite a few products in this space, and I see mushrooming of so many startups, big companies getting into AI, trying to push that into HR, and how the transformations, some of them, the industry has experienced, witnessed, employees have benefited, so do organizations. But there's a whole lot yet to unravel. We just scratched the surface of the. So I'm pretty excited. At the same time,
Yeah,
it's a big opportunity for us to put our you know school caps, try to discover, learn, fail, and relearn. So definitely yes.
I think that's a great way of putting it. Going back to the school, I think that must have excited most of us because we've been away from school for such a long time. Now getting
Yes,
back to the boardroom with the new thinking hats on.
that's right.
Absolutely. Shakunji, just want to extend the same question to you. How do you
Completely
see this
echo
whole
what
AI
Dr.
transformation
Deshpande
being?
just I completely echo what Dr. Deshpande just mentioned. The only thing I would like to add here is that unlike other times, going to this school is not optional anymore. When we talk about people learning about AI and technology, specifically HR professionals, I think we do not have a choice. What is it's like none of us have a choice to not be on a smartphone. Similarly, none of us have the choice of not being AI ready and therefore go back to school, learn about AI. And it's not just about learning to program AI, because it's not software coding that we are talking about. It's about leveraging and using, and that is what we'll talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I think that's again a great way of looking at it. AI on its own is not enough, right? You have to figure out how do you leverage that, put it into your own practices in the functions to take out the maximum optimal results, right? And with that, I would like to start with a specific question. See, again, HR, one of the key pillars in HR is recruitment, right? If you think about HR in any organization, you just think about recruitment. And obviously, recruitment is something which has been, as they say, slowest transformation has been kind of seen in that practices because obviously it's very human driven. It has its own scale issues, but suddenly AI is coming in. Now it can do magic at a scale, processing a lot of things automatically, taking away the pain of having a smaller team of HR looking at those many resumes, actually predicting who's the right candidate, screening him appropriately. So let me start this question, Shakunji, for you. If you think about recruitment, how do you see the use and the impact of HR? Where do you see HR playing the role there?
Uh, I'm assuming you're saying technology playing a role or HR playing a role. Yeah.
How will the AI transform the recruitment landscape today?
Ah, So this is interesting, Prashant. Out of all the use cases of AI in HR, recruitment is one such area where it is the maximum usage. In fact, we did a recent study at SHRM and we found that across India, about 52% organizations have already started using some form or the other of AI in their recruitment process. And I think there are three clear verticals around which AI is playing a very, very critical role. The first essentially is the recruitment marketing. How do you communicate your message? How do you reach to not only active but latent talent pools as well? So that is one thing. How do you communicate your EVP? Very, very critical, very, very important. The second thing is around sourcing. Ever since AI came into applicant tracking systems and recruitment platforms, a whole lot of creativity and innovation has been unleashed. So there are today far more creative ways of attracting talents, attracting candidates, specifically passive candidates, and engaging them, because it's not just about identifying. Back in the day, if you are able to identify a good candidate, 50-60% of your target or task was done. But today, identifying the right candidate perhaps is only 5 or 10%. The balance 90% is around engaging that candidate through the process. So that's the second important piece. And third, and the most important piece is around assessments and selection. How do you leverage AI? So a lot of AI tools are there today. In fact, agentic AI is playing a very important role. There is video-based applications that can, to almost near human perfection, do the selection and assessment process as well. So I think these are the three layers that are massively getting augmented and also massively getting disrupted as we see more and more AI in recruitment.
Just a quick follow-on question on that is how accurate do you think the results have been, right? Because traditionally the HR teams would kind of handhold all these and look at this far more closely to assess the outcome of, let's say, screening, right? And also obviously the job descriptions being rightly worded and communicated, ensuring that there are touch points. How do you see the accuracy of AI? Is there a concern, or do you see it's already kind of helping you there aggressively?
Prashant, I always jokingly say that AI is as dumb or as intelligent as the human being using it. So, it's a myth that AI is smarter than you are. I can challenge you if you were to give a website link on a particular role to AI and then say do the whole 9 yards in terms of generating the JD, sourcing the candidate and assessing it. There is a very high likelihood that it will get it wrong. So remember, all the AI outputs that we are talking about have to be used to support and ease the human judgment making process. There are things where AI assessments are very accurate. For example, if you were to check coding skills or language skills, which are more non-human things, I would say. But when it comes to the human elements, when it comes to the software things, when it comes to culture fitment, when it comes to team fitment, so on and so forth, nothing can replace human interface. So I think we should take it with a pinch of salt, and I would peg accuracy on board at about 50%, not more than that.
Very interesting. I think I love the way when you mentioned that the AI has to be seen as someone who will augment human decision making process to actually make it more accurate, right? And, the AI and the human combined would be the more lethal force on the table. But great perspective. Thank you, Dr. Deepak. I'm just coming to you with a top up question on this. How are
Yeah.
you seeing recruitment? Again, a broad stroke from you, and then would love to understand what have you seen being AI, how AI is kind of impacting either of these or all of them.
Thank you, Prashant. Again, I think Shakun has really covered in various phases of AI and talent acquisition. There is so much is possible, and so much has changed. You know, if you remember the early days of parsing, remember that was, parsing used to be such the only feature that we used to use, right? When the new job portals came on the horizon, right? And we were pretty happy with that, the job portals showing up in the market, and then we taking the subscription, trying to get, those relevant CVs and doing the rest of the work as usual by ourselves, right? From those times to now, at each phase, today you see technology has changed the entire sub functions within recruitment itself, right from identifying, like the way you want to project your job description. Today, you don't have to really struggle with job description. Earlier, it was quite a Herculean task to get the job descriptions in place. You have to depend on the line managers, getting the right words, the technology, blah, blah, right? From then to job description to mapping what is available in the market. I'm talking about the candidates. These two pieces have become on. But then the job description itself, the way it is presented when you put it on the job portals or social media platforms, you have so many tools to really make it look good. Present it to the candidate, appeal it to his senses or tastes and likes and dislikes. At the same time, there is also a reverse responsibility because of the social media itself. Companies cannot anymore get away with their poor HR practices. You know what I mean? Poor employee relationship, engagement practices. Everything is in open now, so it's like dual responsibility, right? From then to identifying the candidates, doing the first leg of three, assessments online, then bring the candidate to only when you want him to take a technical, right? You can have video interviews even at HR round, or also subsequently line managers where already pre formed question banks. The written can be captured visually videographed, and then the AI can actually do the assessment and give you, here are the top 10 guys. Now you want to meet Mr. HR. You know what I mean? You are actually getting this candidate at your doorstep in just matter of few clicks, or maybe a day maximum. But then the human intelligence comes. So today, I think we are in a phase where we are talking about humanization of AI. Actually, AI is doing so much, but at the same time, now we are worried, oh, AI cannot do everything what humans can. Therefore, we are saying, how do I make AI more human? So definitely, yes, I think recruitment is a function that has really it's revolutionized itself with thanks to technology. But we are still, like I said, we need to be very, very fair, transparent, ethical, right? Plug the gaps and errors, all that. We still need to get that fine balance there. But I think
Fine
we
balance
have
between
definitely,
all these elements together. Yeah, and I think
yes,
I think I also love the fact that you mentioned the speed at which the AI can actually help you in terms
yes,
of your recruitment process, right? Because
absolutely,
wherever I've spoken to the HR leaders, especially who are hiring at a significantly large scale, the biggest challenge has been, the conversion ratio of a hired
absolutely,
candidate to the number of resumes you have to scan, which means
yeah,
those many number of hours have to be put in. Now, suddenly, you can have an optimal use of the bandwidth of your HRBP practitioners, right, who are actually going to be front ending the screening. Now that all that can be augmented by an AI, you could actually screen everything, give
yeah,
you far more predictable, outcomes. Because again, I've seen candidates putting all sorts of keywords, right, irrespective of the experience that they have and the kind of company they may have worked across. So I think AI can play a great role here. So thank you so much for bringing in and just taking away the conversation to the next step, which is a logical journey of the employee once he gets screened and let's say selected, right? One of the challenges that I keep hearing from a lot of HR leaders is how do you get the employee, engaged right from the onboarding. So I think one of the biggest benefits of AI that I've been noticing and hearing about is how do you get the employees onboarded in a very seamless way, including the training components of it. So let me ask Shakunji on if you can throw some lights on the onboarding perspective and employee engagement on a continual basis, right from the first touch point to an employees who are already onboarded who are in the system.
I think again, onboarding is seeing a lot of creative use of not only AI but other associated technologies like AR, VR, robotics, and so on and so forth. Time is of essence these days, and how can you bring down the onboarding time is the biggest productivity boost that any organization can do. Today, right from your verification to your onboarding formalities, whether it is things like fetching your PAN number details or opening a bank account, all those things can be done in matter of minutes because everything is interconnected and everything is at a much evolved stage. I've seen a very interesting and increasingly becoming popular use cases essentially around using AR and VR for giving virtual tours of the offices. I think that is something which is very interesting because as more and more companies are promoting hybrid work cultures and specifically with the millennials and the later generations are keen to work from remote locations, it's a very potent tool to make them feel engaged and be the part of that environment which they may or may not experience otherwise. On
Very
the
interesting.
engagement front, it is not just the new joiner engagement, but the entire population. And I come from Gallup. Many years ago, I used to work for Gallup, and there we used to do a annual employee engagement survey. Today, if you look at it, world is so fast paced that annual surveys make no sense whatsoever. So therefore, how can you do a pulse check and take immediate actions to redeem any gaps in engagement that is critical? And again, AI is playing a very, very important role in that.
Very interesting to hear. I think the speed of onboarding and ensuring the employees are engaged in the hybrid work environments, which is the new age reality of the workforce today, right? People have moved places, and you have the ability to hire remotely across the geographies, including the kind of jobs which have got open to working remotely, right? Earlier, who would have thought you could do perform various job functions remotely, right? Like now almost everything which doesn't need human intervention on a constant basis can be executed remotely. So Deepak ji, I just have a quick question as a follow-up on this specific thing. Is in the whole training aspects of the workforce, how are you looking at AI being leveraged in your organizations and the one that you advise?
again, I would say big time. Number one, uh, you don't have to wait for the candidate to join you and then you start the onboarding process. You know what I mean? right from the time you have made the first contact with the candidate, you can use AI and the tools to be in touch with the candidate. Tell them, hey, do you know this is what we have done? You just keep the candidate warm, right? Until the day he joins. And just a day before or in the 3 days before joining, hey, would you like to know? These are the few steps. Basically, you're doing a part of your onboarding process remotely. You don't have to wait for that. So you can definitely create little more excitement, use that time to get the guy psychologically into the organization, tell him what exciting things are happening. Number one. Number two is definitely, thanks to again technology, you can have hyper personalized employee experience during the first 15 days about the project, what are the various projects, what technology should we have. Create that kind of excitement with the candidate that he joined a great place, right? Telling him about what the new project that have come, what are the people practices that we have, these are the policies you have, right? That's one. Tell them what support you have for the candidates proactively. Don't wait for them to actually come to you if they land in only when they land in some problem or they need any help. Like you can deploy chatbots right from the time you made the offer, right? And also first 7 days, may how was your onboarding experience? Give me the feedback. What do you feel about it? Like you can do a predictive analysis and see, okay, how many of the candidates that have joined me in the 3 months, what are they saying about my onboarding practices, right? Like Shakun said, let's not stop here. Till the time, as long as they're throughout the employee life cycle, we can use technology to make sure the candidate is absolutely into the organization. We are listening to him, we are getting his feedback, we have the right tools and avenues for platform for him to handle some of the issues that he is facing at workplace. So definitely, yes, I think it's again for employee engagement, AI is huge possibilities it can offer.
That's great to hear. I think, and I especially love the fact that you mentioned about hyper personalization, and having a proactive communication with the employees who are in the process of getting onboarded, and keeping a constant touch. Where you are able to help them understand the developments which are happening at the organization. It could be predictive, based on their interests and the developments at the organization, so that your the drop ratio of joining can be improved upon. That's one of the biggest challenges that I've been hearing, especially as you hire more and more senior people. You have an uncertainty until the last day, right? Suddenly, on the day of joining, you have candidates who ghost us, the organizations. And I think this could really be a great booster in the direction to improve that ratio, because a constantly engaged and motivated prospect employee news for organizations. It's going to give a great signal. Yep. Yeah.
Why don't we use AI to have some kind of prediction? What are the chances of this candidate dropping out? What are you, if you're good at prompt engineering, you can find out where all is fishing. I'm not saying you have to really do any shadowing, but definitely we need to find out, is he interested, is he responding? You can have a AI tool specifically telling you what is the chance, how do I rate him on a scale of 10 joining, right? And do some of those things and see, okay, are my efforts making, am I seeing any activity from this side on the side? You can do a whole lot of things. I don't want to spell out and look little dicey here, but I hope you got the point.
No, absolutely. So I'll just let Shakunji talk about this topic a little bit more. If you can go deeper into and understand, how are you thinking about this predictive sentiment analysis of employees, not only just people again who are
Yeah, yeah,
going to join you as a prospect candidates or employees, but the employees who are already on the roll.
yeah.
Look, human sentiment, specifically that of employees, are transmitted in various forms of communication. Right from the way we are writing emails, the way we are interacting on Slack, our facial expressions, our frequency of interactions, and so on and so forth. Now, what is interesting is that perhaps in the history of HR, it is the first time that there is a kind of an umbrella technology that can actually collate sentiments from across these communication channels and comprise. And I think that's a very potent. Of course, there are issues around data protection and privacy and all those things. But then once you are an employee and you sign up for something, then it is a very different thing altogether. Today, there are very advanced AI-based technologies that can do sentiment analysis, looking at facial expressions of people, reading through the emails and predicting what is their state of mind in terms of their emotions, their sentiments, and so on and so forth. So while we did see sentimental analysis coming in early phases of employee engagement surveys, now I think it has gone way ahead, and it's going to. I think it's beginning to go too far, right? I think what we have today is more than enough, and we should stop here, because now let humans remain humans, I would say. But for the organizations that are curious about it and are serious about it, I think there is a huge potential. And the fact is that not only productivity loss, there could be other compelling events that can be altered if these technologies are used correctly. I should not be saying, but we have seen cases of suicide, for example. We have seen cases of stress, burnout. So these technology can actually help organizations, provided they are willing to take the steps and actions within the right time, to stop such incidents from occurring. And on the positive side, of course, it can help increase the overall happiness, overall satisfaction, and overall engagement of the entire population as well.
Very well put. So I think just a quick leading question on this is, how would you measure the ROI of, let's say you bring in an AI technology in the workforce, right, to improve this engagement as a metric. How would you measure the ROI of the technology advancement that you're thinking about?
So look, when we look at ROI calculation, we only look at ROI in terms of financial ROI, and I think that's a convoluted thing. That's the wrong thing to do. When we talk about AI, remember there are three experiences that AI enhances. The first one is sorry, there are three types of intelligences that AI will augment or enhance. The first is decision intelligence. So it helps you to take better and more informed decision. Now, a cost or an ROI of a wrong decision or a better decision or a correct decision could be multifold, and it may or may not be easy for us to calculate it. But remember, you need to look at ROI from the perspective of decision intelligence. That is point number one. The second is experience intelligence, which means how are people feeling when, say, applying for a job, for example, or generating an analytics report, and so on and so forth. Now, experience, again, Daniel Kahneman said that the best use of money is to be spent on experiences. But then if you were to calculate the ROI on experience, it is very difficult considering the current financial models that are there. And lastly, and the easiest one, is the productivity intelligence, which can be the easiest to calculate, because earlier there were 20 recruiters, now there are 10, so there is a clear ROI. So if you look at all these three dimensions of intelligence that gets augmented because of AI, the decision intelligence, the experience intelligence, and the productivity intelligence, then the ROI can be multifold. My specific message is, stop looking at ROI only from the lens of productivity intelligence or productivity enhancement.
Well put. I think the fun fact would be the speed at which AI can crunch large voluminous data, right? Which was always a bottleneck, right? Computing, for example, if you are doing performance appraisals, right, that had to go through manual interventions, reviewing each of these points in detail, the manager reviews. I think I remember the performance appraisal cycles would go on literally for a quarter for a larger organizations, right? Now that can be short circuited to possibly a few weeks with ROI and calculation kind of pushing the metrics way higher up. So thank you, I think, for giving us the framework of free point intelligence that gets impacted by AI. Dr. Deepak, yes, I'm just going to come over. You want to add something on this?
Yes, definitely. Yes. I think Shakun has brilliantly mentioned about the question. Definitely is very relevant and very important. I'm glad he has touched upon those 3 points. But I would put it in a different way here. Let's say if this tool is only meant for big companies which are hiring in large numbers, your filter, ROI filter, is going to be different. The outlook of ROI is going to be different. Think of, is this my product? Can I sell it to a company which is having just about 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, right? End of the day, it is basically a tool. So the challenge, I would say, is for the companies who are working on such products or offerings. They need to see, what strategy I have where companies, irrespective of the number of employees they have, chances of using my product. Therefore, it's very important to educate not only the companies who are offering these products, but also the companies which are looking at, migrating to these kind of technologies to enhance their productivity. Having said that, either of the cases, ROI should be looked from in a very holistic way. I think Shakun has very in a concise manner given us three indicators, but I would like it to look at from little more minute lens. Let us leave it to the HR heads or the companies, departments which are using these AI tools. What are the different ways where I can justify what is the information? See, a tool is as good as the user. As long as my data is correct, as long as I'm enterprise, the data is nowadays hitherto till then, I mean till now, it's sitting in silos. But is the data reliable? Is it accurate? Can I do intelligent analysis? Can I use that information? What processes or business decisions are going to get impacted? How am I going to socialize, educate my functional heads to use this data? For instance, strategic workflows planning, skill gap analysis is a very important. What are the new projects I'm getting? Do I have the requisite skills? What is stopping HR from doing all these things, right? So if the HR heads or the change agents, managers are using them, let them break their heads to find out what are the different ways I can use it. All that will make sense when you have a strong hold on your employee data. So I think ROI is one very important piece. But then how much you want to? It's like a employee welfare. It's a holistic welfare. It's not only emotional, spiritual, financial. You know what I mean? Wellness is not just some medical policy or some insurance policy. It goes beyond that.
Yeah, it
Giving a
can't
good.
quantify it by a few parameters alone because it's tied to
Exactly.
so many variables which are directly
Exactly.
linked with the organization's goals. Yeah. Well said, Dr. Deepak. So, I think one of the interesting elements of where AI is creating a stronger impact is also, upskilling the workforce, right, at a rapid pace. And the medium is also evolved, right? The people can upskill themselves by using, let's say, certain models which train on internal data, right? Where they
Yeah.
can kind of question. It could be a chatbot, it could be, a tool which gives them real-time answers rather than reading through, interpreting, and reaching out to someone, getting coached at
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
session. So, how are you thinking about? So, let me start with Dr. Deepak on this, on the upskilling. How are you thinking about AI? How have you used internally, and what do you recommend on that?
Okay, I think the low hanging fruits is basically, if I am in a given role, what are the competencies or capabilities or knowledge I need to have, right? The job description pretty well gives that. But do I have that? How do I rate myself on it? Take assessments which are available, plenty of them online today, right? You can have personalized employee development, your own development plans, like career development plan. Today, you can make use of learning, adaptive learning platform. They only tell you, there are tools which will tell you, hey, listen, you're doing well here. Your CV says this. I think you need to have this. These are the roles that in demand. What are your goals for next 2 years? All this can be customized to your own requirement. So certainly, I think the L&D space again is another area which can be used. Employee themselves can own their own career planning. They can plan their own development. Organizations can only help them with enablement and also the environment to learn, right? But certainly, yes, I see a huge again. So therefore, let us not look at AI purely just because it's RI2 recruitment tool. I don't think it. Even if you want to project with mine is purely into talent acquisition, a whole lot can be mined because there's so much of data, important data available. The L&D heads can take that information. The employee welfare champions can take the information. What kind of people am I hiring? What age groups are there? What are the demographics? What all I should be doing? I mean, So it's like a mine of information.
Yeah, and I think it could also help the HR heads and actually the BU heads as well to assess on a real-time basis what are the real skill gaps, right? Earlier, it was
Exactly.
left up to an interpretation rather than being a data-driven decision
Exactly.
on that,
Yeah.
which is where I think Shakunji also talked about, right? Saying the data-driven intelligence and the decision-making is going to get kind of, leapfrogged here. So, Shakunji, how do you see you want to extend the argument with your perspective? Yeah, would you like to add up your perspective to what Dr. Deepak was mentioning on the upskilling and the aspects of getting people kind of have their own journey carved out based on their own competencies and skill gaps that are being kind of communicated or understood themselves?
Yeah. No, again, there are two or three parts to it. One is that for each role, the competencies today have become very, very dynamic. So, in fact, it is not even the human beings who know what will be required, lest forget the AI. So, important piece is that how do we leverage this technology to keep abreast of the latest and also keep on upskilling ourselves? I think that's a very critical and most important factor. The other piece is essentially around how do you leverage these digital platforms, technology for learning. And I will tell you, it's a kind of a double whammy. It's a myth that everything can be replaced with the digital technologies. The answer is no. Just this morning I was talking about coaching, for example. Now there are digital platforms offering coaching. There are agentic AI based coaching solutions, right? But the fact is that coaching is a very intimate relationship between the coach and a coachee, and it has to have that human element. So while we are talking about upskilling ourselves and looking at building organizational capability at scale, we have to be very judicious where to use technology and where not to use technology, because in the startup culture they will try and change everything and anything, right? I personally believe we did not need the 10-minute grocery deliveries in this country. It has only, because it came, we have started using it, and it comes with its own disadvantages. Back in the day when all of us were growing, if there was something missing from the house, the easy thing for the mother was to say it's not there and be done with it. But we can't do it to our children, right? They will say, okay, zepto kar lo, yeah, whatever it is. So similarly, just because the technology is available, it does not mean that it is good for us to use, and therefore that human ingenuity, human judgment is super critical.
Yeah, yeah, well said. I think the whole decision making needs to, as you said, right, has to be augmented in the right way. There is no point of forcing AI into functions which are either not ready or not relevant given the size and scale, like Dr. Deepak you were mentioning, right? So I think with this, I just have one final question, where I want to kind of throw this as again an open dais on the table. We talked about the benefits, we talked about how it can really work out, different perspectives across functions. What are the top most challenges that you see from AI, right? What are the threats to actually implement that into large organizations like enterprises typically, right? What are the biggest challenges that you see? Let me start with Dr. Deepak on this.
I think the challenges are still almost, I think we all know, but however, I would definitely like to put the top three would be ethical challenges. Number one, right? Easier said than done, but definitely that is one. But from to an organization where which is embarking on the journey of AI into HR space, certainly yes, I think I would rather leave it to the head of the department and the business. The business should own up. There should be support from the business, sponsorship, the senior leadership. That is the most important. Now, for the senior leadership to sponsor that, who is the Hanuman for you? The HR head. He needs to deep dive, work with the CTO of the organization. Tell both of them should collaborate and say, hey, this is what you're going to get. It's not just for HR; it's going for the entire organization, all the departments. These are the costs. These are the benefits. Therefore, my suggestion to companies which are offering this kind of tools, pure play RI tools, talent acquisition tools, My request to them, my appeal to them, please do not stop at, okay, you got the candidate, job is done. I've given the best and cheapest way possible. Just do a little more work. Say, hey, listen, my system gives you this data to you about your employees. Now, you have the onus within the HR function to play with this data, churn the data, come with processes or policies, see does it make sense, let them play with that information. So one step little, so that even if you're pure play a talent acquisition tool, tell them ये सब आपको मिल सकता है. You know what I mean? That is the way I think companies will adopt. They'll say, wow, ये तो हो सकता है यार, it's superb. I think
This is a
every
possibility. So I think you need to kind of open the canvas for them and show them the possibilities, right? With
exactly.
the data points, because the data is humongous and they are just lost with their internal processes.
Make some six boards. These are the 6 lanes you are on highway.
Yeah, yeah. I think the path also needs to be shown because they are also in the process of discovery, because this is the
Correct.
wave has been
Correct.
so fast and
Yeah.
overwhelming for almost everyone. So thank you so much, Dr. Deepak. Shakunji, you want to add up your perspective on the similar thought, the question?
See, in terms of challenges, there are many, but there are many more opportunities, as Dr. Deepak also said. So while he's already talked about the opportunities, one thing I think what is happening is with the advent of AI, generative AI, and whatnot, the expectations of both employees as well as the internal stakeholders are increasing. Remember, while there are cool tools and technologies available out there, not every organization will be at a level of readiness to be able to adopt it. You would have legacy systems, you would have data issues, you would have integration issues, and so on and so forth. So I think an important piece, in addition to what Dr. Deepak said, is to be self-aware in terms of where are you on this journey, what is possible in your context, what is not possible, because often I have seen that when it comes to buying the latest and the best technology, organizations do end up biting much more than they can chew. So having a clear view of your readiness is also super critical.
Yeah, perspective. I think that's a good perspective. Like a lot of larger organizations end up sitting on so many tools and in fact so many licenses that I think the whole Dodge audit by Elon kind of threw that open, right? Saying people have licenses of tools and the number of licenses that they use is far more than what they really need. So I think that's a great way of looking at it. In terms of bringing in the technology when you're really ready. And I think Dr. Deepak, you really summed it up well, saying the AI needs to be kind of understood and implemented the right way, right? I think it has to be driven down from the functions and architected closely with the HR leaders, right, where you can bring in the perspective, and the path has to be shown, because I think everybody is discovering this journey together. So great to have that, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I think we are slightly over our planned time, but the conversation was so interesting that I couldn't stop myself from asking you more questions. But thank you so much for being on this show with us. This is gone on LinkedIn Live for our audiences and a lot of our HR leaders who are looking at our conversation. Any quick bite as an advice on any HR leader who's looking at implementing AI? Quick bites from both of you. Let me start with Dr. Deepak.
I think I have only one thing to say. AI humanization or AI and human collaboration is going to be the key. At this, and of course, our ethical, responsible way of handling this. This is a very powerful tool. It can make or break it. So we have to have a perfect, I mean, near perfect blend, if not best, balance between both. Just be practical, just be realistic, just be responsible.
Thank you, Shakunji. Sorry, I think we might have lost him. He did mention that there was a wave of this dark clouds and
Yeah.
possibly weather interruption. So we might have lost Shakunji, but never mind. I think he's given us enough pearls of wisdom already. Thank you so much, Shakun, if you are listening us. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing these insights and helping us with different perspectives. Dr. Deepak, great to have you, and I love the way you kind of summarized it. Saying that it has to be human plus AI together that will win this for enterprises and everybody. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Deepak and Shakun. I think you just got dropped. But great having you. Thank you so much. Have a good day ahead.
Thank you, Prashant. Great questions. Wonderful conversation. Really enjoyed this. Thank you to everybody who's listening and maybe listening over next few days. Thank you, Zival, for having us here. We really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sab. Have a good evening ahead. Enjoy your weekend. Bye bye.
Yeah.
So I'm just ending the stream right now.